Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah, and welcome to Fringes in the Kitchen. Today I am going to be showing you how my Mishpachah makes our leavened flatbread. First off, you want to get yourself a nice mixing bowl, and you're going to add in 1 cup of warm water, and you want the temperature to be around 110 degrees since it is the ideal temperature of water. You want to make sure that it is not too hot or too cold because the yeast will not activate. Then you're going to add in 1 tablespoon of sugar. In my household, we use cane sugar because the white table sugar is very refined and is highly processed. And now I am adding 2 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast. And go ahead and stir it around for the yeast to start eating up the sugar. You're going to let the mixture sit for around 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the temperature of your house. After a couple of minutes, you're going to start seeing the yeast bloom, and that's how you know that your yeast is good to use. If the blooming process doesn't happen, I would suggest for you to restart because it can mean that 1, your temperature was not at the correct temperature, or your yeast is not active. Then you're going to add 2 tablespoons of oil. It could be any oil that you prefer. And you're going to add in your remainder 2 tablespoons of sugar and 2 tablespoons of salt. You're going to give it a nice mix in there to incorporate all those flavors. That way you know that every single bite of your flatbread is consistent and that is to your taste. Now, if you would like to add more salt and more sugar, this is the time that you will add any or make any changes that you would like. You're going to add a total of 4 cups of flour. And I am using a mixture of barley and wheat flour. And you want to make sure that you're also checking your flour, shifting through the flour, filtering your flour, just to ensure that there is nothing in there and to give it like that, also that nice airy texture of a flatbread. And after you add in your 4 cups of flour, you want to go ahead and you're going to start mixing in your ingredients. Now, I personally like to start off with my wet ingredients first, but if you would prefer to do it the other way around and add in your dry ingredients, mix that, and then do the yeast, you could go ahead and do that too, as well as whatever your liking is to it. And don't be afraid to taste it as you go, because then you will know if you want to add a little bit more sugar or a little bit more salt, depending if the flavor for you is too bland or if you feel that you need to spice it up a bit. Get in there, get your hands nice and dirty, and you want to work the dough. You want to knead it for around a couple of minutes, around 5 minutes to 10 minutes, but you will know when to stop kneading due to the texture of the bread. You want it to be nice and soft. You want to make sure that it's not cracked. You want to make sure that it doesn't feel too sticky or too dry. It's going to take a couple of time, but Mishpachah, just keep going at it. The more you make your bread, the more you practice it, the better it's going to taste, it's going to feel, and also involve the family. It is a great opportunity for them to also learn the process, and as well as the kids. The kids love to play with flour, believe it or not. Now, this is a good time as you're kneading your dough to meditate. My meditation for today was in John chapter 6, verse 31 to 33, which states, "Our Father did eat manna in the desert, as it is written. He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Then Yahushua said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father gave you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of Yahuwah is he which cometh down from heaven, and giveth life unto the world. And we know, Mishpachah, that the word of Yahuwah is true, it is unchangeable, and it is unbreakable. From the beginning of Genesis all the way to the last chapter of Revelation, his word is true. And in the wilderness, our ancestor asked for bread. They asked for manna because they were hungry, they were hungered. But when we really think and we meditate on it, they were seeking they were seeking his words physically and mentally, because we all know that we do not live on bread alone, but from every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yahuwah. And it's very important to take in the whole sword, the whole Bible to its full context, and just ask Yahuwah to have the Ruach HaKodesh to give you discernment on what he would like for you to open. Down in verse 35, it says, Yahushua said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. And as we do a quick meditation, and as we're working and kneading the dough, we are working our life, we are working our mind, we are working our spirits to have that discernment that Yahuwah wants from us in order to fully understand and appreciate the word that he is trying to give us. Once you finish kneading the dough, you're going to pour some leftover oil that you may have in your cup, and that way to hydrate the dough once again, and for it also not to stick on your bowl. And as you can see, the dough is nice, it's moist, it's soft, it's not cracking, it has its moisture. And this is what you're looking for when you are making your first flatbread. We're going to let it sit, and we're going to let it rest for 20 to 30 minutes, and we're going to put the lid on. After 20 or 30 minutes, depending on how long you let it rest, you will see your dough rise. The longer you let it sit and rest, the bigger the rise is going to be. But with the flatbread, you really don't need to go ahead and let it sit for more than 30 minutes, because the yeast will start to ferment, and you will taste that on your final piece of bread. Then go ahead and get yourself a nice clean surface. It could be a cutting board, it could be your table, and you want to sprinkle it with flour, because since we are going to roll it, you don't want it to stick. And also put some flour into your rolling pin so the dough, which is very hydrated, again does not stick to your surface. You're going to grab a piece of dough. It all depends on how big size you want the flatbread to be. The bigger the dough that you get, the bigger the flatbread is going to be. Just keep that in mind. And we're going to start rolling it with a motion of back and forth, side to side. Turn it the other way so you could get an even thickness throughout the whole flatbread. We personally in our household like it when we roll it nice and thin, because it allows it to give it a nice pop, as well as you can fold it. Go into your cooking surface. I'm using a cast iron skillet. You're going to add in some oil, and then you're going to put in your flatbread, and you want to hear that sizzle. So you want to make sure your pan is nice and hot. You're going to cook it for around 1 to 2 minutes, and you want to start seeing bubbles rise up in the surface. That lets you know that it's a good leavened dough, because those are air pockets, and again it's going to give you a nice airy flatbread at the end. Once you start seeing your sides become light brown and brown, you're going to start noticing that the bread is fully cooking at the bottom. And you could go ahead and check the bottom. You could turn it around for a nice even surface. And you want to see those air bubbles open up. You're going to grab it and you're going to flip it. And look, Mishpaka, look how nicely brown that looks. And it's delicious and it's ready to go. And that is it, Mishpaka. I hope that you enjoy. Please make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Shalom.